Thank you so much for watching my videos. Hey, please thumbs up this video, and also subscribe. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you could be alerted to my new videos. All right, we're getting ready to get into this. Peace. All right. All right. Trying out new things, trying out old things. Oh, goodness. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, let me do this one little thing, making sure, yeah, we're good. I had to check my audio real quick. Making sure that we're good, and we are good. We are live, not Memorex. All right. So I wanted to come on here. You know how I am about being consistent, making sure I'm up here reporting some things to you all. I think tomorrow is the season finale of Ahsoka. Are you all watching? Are you all watching? Star Wars has always been my little pleasure. I remember back in the day. I think A New Hope, it was called Star Wars back then, was the one of the first movies that my family as a whole went to. So I've always had Star Wars in that whole franchise, that's very deep to my heart. But tomorrow, Ahsoka, this is a new character coming out of the Clone Wars. If you have not watched the Clone Wars, go back and watch that. You will then understand who Ahsoka is. She has her own show, rightfully so, and it's going to be a season finale. If you've been watching it, what do you think about it? I've been enjoying it. I have enjoyed her journey uh, over these past 7 episodes. I know a lot of folks like to see the swords fights and stuff like that, but I like to see a character move from one place to the other. Because do you all realize that if you really look at Ahsoka down in her heart, that baby had PTSD. She out there. I don't care if she was a Jedi. I don't care if she was trained in all the little Jedi mind tricks. You had this baby as a teenager out in the middle of a war, being a whole general over troops and whatnot, and expecting for that type of stuff not to affect them. Even with Kanan, you expected, and all those younglings, as I'm gonna call them, when Order 66 happened. You expect these young people not to be affected by this. Their complete world was gone. Even though Ahsoka left the order before Order 66, she still lost. She still lost a lot. And it was nice to see her come to some understanding, come to a level of peace about the loss that she has suffered. So I'm looking for great things for him. And this is a wonderful place for Star Wars. Now, the sequels, overall, I wasn't too impressed with the sequels. There was different little things going on within each one of the episodes of the sequel that I did like. But overall, as a story, I didn't like how I really didn't like how they did Luke. I think how Dave Filoni is exploring this new world now, that's what the sequel should have been. The sequel shouldn't have been anything other than uh, exploring this galaxy a little bit more, introducing us to different characters, and then coming up with a main story arc. Now, I'm gonna tell you, I don't have any problem with the First Order. I think that was nothing wrong with that. That with the with the Republic being so vapid, I would see that the First Order would rise again, or the Empire would rise again. So I didn't have an issue with that. It's just the other stuff with Ray and Finn and all of these people. Now that Dave Filoni has to go back and try to retrofit all of this stuff, child, but he gonna do it. Him and Favreau, they're gonna do it. So, are y'all gearing up for Loki season 2? It looks like it's going to be good. It looks like it's going to be good. I will probably review Loki. I think I reviewed Loki last year. I think I'm going to review Loki this year as well. So that was going to be on my plate to review. I wasn't really reviewing anything with the strike. I just didn't have the I didn't have the heart, honestly. So I have been inundating you all with pop culture. So I'm going to go back because I even talked about doing some my retrofit. I'm still going to do that, but I've just got to get the movies and things that I'm going to do because your girl got a new job, so I'm just trying to make sure I get that done and get proficient in what I'm doing there before I start committing to watching movies and stuff like that. All right. So let me share my screen. Ba, ba, ba. All right. So here's what we can talk about. We got three stories to talk about today. I wanted to go over this particular story. Y'all see the flooding that was going on in New York? A mess. They said that it dropped a whole season worth of water on New York in 24 hours, honey. Had them people floating and everything like that. This climate change that people are denying is really messing up, because if you think about it and look at it, the way that New York was running with water, I think if the polar ice caps continue to melt, I will tell you, probably in the next 25 years, half of New Orleans is going to be gone, Key West is going to be gone, and half of New York is going to be underwater, because all of those places I think are at sea level, if I'm not mistaken. And those parts of Texas, like Galveston and all of that, they're going to be gone. And I think that there's a portion of California that'll be out there too. So climate change is real, y'all. Y'all, let's just go over. I want to read just a little bit of this article, just a tad. All right. It says one of New York's wettest days in decades left the nation's largest city stunned and swamped as Tropical Storm Ophelia remnants pushed onshore Friday. The already heavy saturated region received several inches of rain within hours of all five boroughs in the city, knocking out several subways and commuter rail lines, stranding drivers on highways, flooding basements, and even shutting a terminal at LaGuardia down for hours. Baby, it's a mess. Look at this. We're just going to look over it. I think we got a lot of pictures. Look at all that water. Is there a way that I'm going to make this bigger so that y'all can see it? Let me get my banner off real quick, because I really want you to see this. Let's see if we can make this bigger. There we go. I really want you to see this. Look at that. Look at all that water. And they were still requiring people to go to work, child. People were walking in waist deep water. Let's see what else they got. Look at that. This is New York City. This is stuff you see down south. This is more akin to what you see here where I live at. Look at all that. All those cars were floating in the water, and look at them. All that damage. You think the insurance is gonna pay out, y'all? Ooh, my goodness. Look at that. Parking lots. Parking lots of cars just underwater. That looks like a Enterprise or Hertz or something like that. All those cars up under the water. Mm, This is New York, and I hope those cars are still working. Look at that. Foolish. I don't even care if you're the NYPD. This is foolish to be driving in this water, because all your tires have to do is lose connection with the road and you are floating. Look at that. And ooh, just to think about the fact that New York has these issues and problems with rats and all this mucky dirty water, and people are just like in the mucky dirty water. And New York don't pick up their trash like they need to, and they was already having issues with, like I said, with rats. This is going to be something. Mm. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. All right, y'all, what are y'all thinking about this? I'm just going to click through some of these, continue to click through some of these pictures. People's basements are flooded. So that means that if they don't get that water out and dry everything out, you're talking about black mold and all kinds of stuff like that. Look at that. Look at that. And they, where I live, the drainage system is not, look, we can have a heavy rain and our drainage system is not equipped to handle this. I can imagine with all the stuff going on in New York. Look at that. Mm. All right, y'all. Look at inside the house. Look at that dirt. Oh, and it's good to see neighbors helping neighbors. So we're gonna get out of this. What do y'all think about this flooding going on in New York? We're gonna get to our next story that is on our docket today. They found Tupac's killer. I don't think they found him. He'd been dry snitching on Vlad TV for what, the past, what, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. The man wanted to get charged. It was weighing a little too heavy on his heart, I think. So let's go through here. This is the AP, Associated Press, and this is what they report. Let me make it a little bigger so we all can see it. Uh-oh. All right. A man who prosecutors said ordered the 1996 killing of rapper Tupac Shakur was arrested and charged with murder Friday in a long awaited breakthrough in one of hip hop's most enduring mysteries. Dwayne Keefe D. Davis has long been known to investigators as one of the four suspects identified early in the investigation. He isn't the accused gunman, but was described as the group's ringleader by authorities at Friday's news conference and in court. In Nevada, you can be charged with a crime, including murder, if you help someone commit the crime. Dwayne Davis was the shot caller for this group of individuals that committed the crime, says Las Vegas homicide detective Jason Johansson. He orchestrated the plan that was carried out. Now, if you are truly interested in this case, there is a YouTuber named Meek at Night. She broke this down tremendously about what happened. I'm just doing a cursory review, but there's a reason why that I'm doing this. All right, these folks have known for years who killed Tupac. They don't need to sugarcoat it. They don't need to be lying. There's always been this thought that they knew who killed Tupac and that killing Biggie was a retribution because somebody didn't get paid for killing Tupac. All of this stuff was going on. I think the shooter, the actual shooter, has since passed away. And this man is 60 years old. So that tells me that you were in your 30s. That tells me you were in your 30s doing all this mess. And from what I understand, all this had to do with a chain and somebody getting beat up for a chain. It's just stupid, wilding kind of stuff. And now you got people dead, and you got this man who should be enjoying his elder years about to go in jail and be sentenced that could be 20 years. So in other words, he just gonna die in jail. A mess. So why am I mentioning this? Because my next story is in my opinion the bigger story, but they put this story out on the weekend to get everybody, to get us black folks all riled up about, oh, they got Tupac, who did Tupac, all of this other stuff. And what is happening is we as black Americans are not paying attention to the right things. Y'all over here on TikTok fighting with men and women, black men and black women fighting each other in this pseudo only on TikTok gender wars. You got people over here now talking about Tupac, which they've been talking about for years. So why am I saying this? I'm clearly making a point, and I'm getting to my third story. We in the Black American community, ADOS community, we've always been talking about wealth and having to struggle with our hands tied behind our back and our one leg wrapped in foil. because every time we make gains or do things that will benefit our community, there's always that one lone white person who wants to upend it. So, earlier this year, um, affirmative action in regards to college admissions was struck down. So, you have this group, well, it's actually this one man who is running around here trying to dismantle anything that's a gain for the ADOS community here. Quiet as it's kept and loud as I'm about to say it, this man seems like he just wants all of us to be back on the plantation and working for free. So, this Tupac story came out and everybody was looking at it, but this is the real story that people should be paying attention to right here. And let me make it bigger so we all can see. The US Appeals Court blocks venture capital fund grant program for black women, right? So if you're not familiar with the Fearless, I think it's the Fearless Fund. This is a fund that was started by two black women who saw that there was a gap in when minority women getting grants for all this venture capitalists. They said that there's like billions of dollars of money being given out, and black women only and black men only get a certain percentage. So they started this fund. They partnered with different companies to start this fund to give seed money to uh, black female head businesses to give them a little foot and give some capital so that they can compete in this world. But what happened? I'm gonna tell you. We're gonna read it. We're gonna read it. A federal appeals court on Saturday blocked a venture capital fund from moving forward with a program that awards funding to businesses run by black women in a case by the anti-affirmative action activists behind the successful U.S. Supreme Court challenge to race conscious college admissions. The Atlanta based 11th U.S. Circuit of Appeals, on a 2-to-1 vote, granted a request by Edward Bloom. Now, this man has been running around here trying to dismantle anything that has anything to do with civil rights and affirmative action. You let him tell it, oh, we don't need that. That's just been crippling white people. Don't know how. Don't know how. Because the history of this country has shown that everybody has had a leg up. Even other minorities that come to this country have had a leg up. But anyway, let's keep reading. Um, from considering applications for grants only from businesses led by women. Well, this is a private fund funded by private companies, and so and it's they have the right to be able to do that because there are funds that are strictly for grants and programs for Asian people. There are funds and grants for folks that are for I can't think of what it is. It's like sons from something. But anyway, this 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 one fund funds probably 500 or 600 black female headed businesses, versus you've got billions of dollars going to all these other people and all these other business that even if these women work to compete for those things, they would only it would be a rare chance for them to be able to get these grants. So you have this grant for these women, right? And I'm gonna continue to talk about it. Let's get down here. Let's get down here. It says Bloom's group asked the court to do what it appealed to do so while it appealed a judge Tuesday's ruling denying it a preliminary injunction blocking Fearless Fund from moving forward with this racially exclusive program. Grant applications were due Saturday. The judge in the majority, this is why it's so important that you all sit around here and act like politics is not important. It is important because they have dismantled laws and protections that you all have been afforded for the last 50 years. The judges in the majority U.S. Circuit Court Robert Luck and Andrew Brasher. And these are people who have never been in a courtroom or anything. They just had a law license and Trump appointed them. Agreed with Bloom's group, the Fearless Fund racially exclusionary grant program likely violated Section 8, 1981 of the 1866 Civil Rights Act, a Civil War era law that bars racial bias in contracting. The U.S. District Judge Thomas Thrash earlier this week concluded that under the U.S. Constitution First Amendment free speech protection, the Fearless Fund has a right to express its belief in the importance of Black women to the economic through charity. But the appeals court's majority comprised of two appointees of Republican former President Donald Trump said the First Amendment does not give the defendants the right to exclude persons from a contractual regime based on race. So, why is this important? Why do you think that they're coming after this fund? And people will sit back and say, oh, it has everything. They're still mad about Obama and him, Obama being in office, and they're upset with that. Let me explain something to y'all. I'm going to need for you all to think a little bit harder on that. Because Obama is gone. He will never be president ever again. Let me explain to you why they are mad. They are mad because that first term that Donald Trump had, there was a candidate for the Senate coming out of the state of Alabama named Roy Moore. If you are not familiar with Roy Moore was a district attorney up in northern Alabama. He then became a circuit judge. He resided on the state Supreme Court. This man was doing things like putting the Ten Commandments in public buildings, professing that this country is a Christian country. So therefore, the Ten Commandments should be the statute of the Ten Commandments should be in a public setting. The Supreme Court told him, "No, baby, you can't do that." So then he got on the state Supreme Court. While he was there, he anything that had any gains to do with women, any gains that had to do with Black folks, any gains that have to do that, he was striking those laws down. So this man decides that he wants to run for Senate. He's running for Senate, right? And with him being on that Senate, that meant that during that period of time, they would have had the White House, they would have had the Congress, and they would have had the Senate, the House of Representatives. Well, what happened was, not only is this man unapologetic racist, not only is this man a very open young girl, young women loving statute in the common areas of government in Alabama. But this man has been known and it has been proven and it has been documented that this man lived up in northern Alabama. And I think it was in Anniston, Alabama. The mall in Anniston, Alabama had to ban him, this 30-year-old district attorney, from coming to the mall because he was harassing the teenage girls that were working at the Gap, the Foot Locker, or whatever stores that were in the mall at that time when he was doing it. It was so pervasive that they had to ban him. There is alleged information out that this man has had uh, sexual encounters with underage women, underage females, and put it like that, girls. So all of this stuff is coming out. You have people. He's had a whole case. This man was a district attorney. So what happened? They understood the Republicans went into that election that night. They just knew he was going to win. And the Democrat, I think his name was Jones, they knew he had no snowball's chance in hell to win. They woke up the next morning stunned, shocked, and bewildered because they couldn't figure out how Roy Moore, because if you parallel Roy Moore and Donald Trump, the way they carried themselves in their lives was almost parallel. No real moral compass, in my opinion. They woke up the next morning and this man was not elected. No one could understand why. So then, once they did the polling, once they did the information and they got all this stuff out, you know what they found out and they realized? You know why he didn't win? Because black folks said, no, it's enough is enough of this. We've had to go through him in this state running roughshod. There's no way in the world he's going to go to the Senate and act a fool. So black men and women voted him out. What they found was that 90% of black women, regardless if they were in the Republican or the Democratic Party, they did not vote for him. And those votes swayed the election to go with, I think his name was Doug Jones. So Doug Jones went to the Senate. So what's happening? The Republicans started to realize that the African American woman can be a sneaker threat to them. So what have they done in these past 8-9 years? They've been doing everything that they can to dismantle that vote. And how do you dismantle the vote? Now listen to me carefully, people. Because again, we as black folks, we are an emotional people. And when we see something don't seem right, whether you're a black man, whether you're a black woman, you're going to pounce on it to the point that you may not be paying attention to the things that are going on. So get back to my first point. You're starting to see these pseudo gender wars, particularly in TikTok. You're starting to see black men having beefs and problems with black women. You have these conservative red pill folk talking to black men saying your problem is the black woman. That's not your problem. Not your problem at all. Remember, your biggest ally is black women. Black women exclusively want to date black men. So how is black women your problem? So now you're hearing some very dangerous rhetoric around men who have latched on to the red black men who have latched on to the red pill community. And ideologies are going on. You got to be careful. Steve Bannon is real big on that. Why? Why all of a sudden? Because they didn't get Roy Moore in that office, in that seat, like they wanted to. Now, they were successful 4 years later, 6 years later, but they don't ever want that to happen again. So, what do you see? Dismantling of a lot of stuff. You see affirmative action being dismantled. And dismantled by people who have benefited from it, who have benefited from the sweat and tears of ADOS black folks in this country, the quote unquote model minority. They're claiming that they couldn't get into Harvard because a black person took my slot. You didn't get into Harvard because of all of the legacy applicants. They take precedent over everybody. That's why you didn't get in. And probably you didn't get in because you were smart. You were smart. Or were you well-rounded? Even the legacy people had some well-roundedness about them because they won't flunk out. But I'm sorry. So now you see this Fearless Fund is being attacked. Because if you can keep oppressed people to keep them from going up. You can control those things. Also, too, I need for you all to understand this other thing, too. Y'all, your food is being taken over. Y'all are not eating healthy foods. Watching Bill Gates and Oprah Winfrey and all of these billionaire people buying up all the land. Why is Oprah buying all that land up in Hawaii and then sitting up there perpetrating a fraud like she's going to get up here and help those people whose homes have burnt down? You're not a bit much caring about those people. You want their land. Why Oprah? Why Bill Gates? Why all of a sudden every place that has fertile place, especially in Georgia, in parts of Alabama, parts of Mississippi and Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, why do you have over hundreds of thousands of acres of land? What's going on? Why are you trying to control the food supply? Because if you control the food supply and if you control the water, you can control the populace. This is why they don't like homesteaders. This is why they don't like people who live out there on their own land. They want you renting. This is why housing prices have gone up through the roof. And the only people that can really afford to buy a house are the multimillionaires and billionaires. Regular thousandaire folks struggle to do stuff like that. And then rent is increasing. There's no way in the world that anybody should be paying almost $5,000 a month for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment in New York. That's craziness. That kind of money, you could buy a house down south. But what's happening? Land. If you find some land, people go ahead and buy it. But I wanted to go over those things. What do y'all think about these stories? What do you think about the last two stories and how I think that they're connecting and how I think that all of these stories that are going to come out to dissuade you from understanding what's going on with those ladies over there at the Fearless Fund? What do y'all think? Let's talk about it down in the comments. All right. That's all I got, people. Again, we do this every week. We do this every week. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Again, help me reach 1,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate that. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell your coworker, hell, tell that pepper that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. And as always, people, bye-bye.